music is starting?
The live is starting. Oh,
Something is starting.
we have one viewer.
One viewer. Oh, wow.
We'll let everybody get kind of logged on first.
Well, and 1 o'clock comes around and you're busy doing something else. And
Right.
hopefully, like you said, people will watch it later.
Right. Yes, it's all be recorded, and so everyone can go back and watch it later for anything you might miss.
But I was also hoping with the heat today, more people might be watching it.
Right.
I have 3 viewers, but I gotta rotate. Because... oh, up to 4. Say hi when you're here, guys. Let us know who you are.
So is that coming on Facebook then when they say hi?
Gotta be a little patient. This is our very first virtual live program.
Oh. She doesn't like us being horizontal. We have to be vertical. Huh? Do you need help? Are you okay?
Hey, Megan. Miss Megan, can you come help me real quick? Can you hold my phone?
Sure.
Thank you.
There it goes.
I didn't realize that we had to be this way. Okay.
Perfect.
Do you have to be from here to here?
I have you here.
Oh, you have the whole. Oh, okay.
All right.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna end this.
I have no
Okay.
idea how.
Okay, we finally have everything set up, and we are so excited to have Doyne Carson, a professional storyteller, here with us today. And all of you who are watching, we hope that you will respond when she has some questions for you. And we are just so excited, and we miss you here at the library, but we're so happy we can still bring you some great programming this summer. So I'm gonna let Doyne take it away.
Thank you very much. I can see all of you, except you're invisible. So I'm pretending that you're sitting around in your pajamas and somebody has shorts on and somebody even has a bathing suit, or at least that's what I'm pretending. I'm using my imagination, and that's what we're doing today. We are imagination people. So these stories are going to be filled with imagination. The first story is by Bill Harley, and lucky you, in your library, you have a Bill Harley book. He has lots of songs and stories. This one is just a book to read. I haven't read it yet, but I dearly love Bill Harley, and he has written and performed a story called Black Socks. Not blue socks, not brown socks, but black socks. I love socks. I don't have socks on right now. I have sandals. I like bright, shiny socks, wild socks like these. But this is a story about black socks, and this is the way it goes. Jack was 7 years old, and since the day he turned 3, he always told his mom and dad, I want some toys for my birthday and for Christmas, and socks, because he loved socks. That meant he had socks with crocodiles and alligators and polar bears and rocket ships. But when he was 7, his dad said, this year you're getting a little older. We're giving you black socks, like Grandpa wears, like I wear. He put them on. He fell immediately in love with the socks. so soft. He wore them all day. He wore them all night. The next day, he wore them all day. He wore them all night. He never took them off. He never took them off for 6 days. And finally, his mother said, Jack, we need to wash those socks. And Jack said, Mom, not yet, not yet, not yet. Try that with me. Mom, not yet, not yet, not yet. 1 month flew by. That's 4 weeks. And his mama said, Jack, you've been wearing those socks for 1 month, all day, all night. You haven't taken them off yet. You need to take them off. We need to wash them. And this is what Jack told his mother. Black socks, they never get dirty. The longer you wear them, the softer they get. Sometimes I think I should wash them, but something inside of me says, not yet. Got it? Not yet. Are you doing it? Not yet. So his mother didn't wash the socks. Jack was in middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Some of the girls said, Jack, your feet stink. And you know what he told them? Well, I would wash them, but not yet. You got it? Not yet. Do I hear you? Not yet. Jack arrived to high school. He was quite the athlete. He was on the bowling team, the tennis team, the billiard team, the football team, the soccer team, the baseball team, the basketball team, and he had athletic socks for everyone. But he always put those fancy socks over his black socks. So then the athletic director said to him one day, Jack, we've been noticed you've been wearing these black socks under our athletic socks, and you need to get them washed. And Jack replied, oh, sorry. Black socks, they never get dirty. The longer you wear them, the softer they get. Sometimes I think I should wash them, but something inside of me keeps saying, not yet. You got it? Not yet. Not yet. Jack headed off to college. He fell in love. They were married on the beach in Florida. He was wearing his sandals and his black socks. Wow, was that ever ugly? And you know what his new wife said? Jack, you need to get your socks washed. And he explained to her, black socks, they never get dirty. The longer you wear them, the softer they get. Sometimes I think I should wash them, but something inside of me keeps saying, not yet, not yet, not yet. Jack is 45 years old now. He's been wearing the same pair of socks for 38 years. The story's over. But with your imagination, how did Jack clip his toenails? Did his toenails whoop out of his socks and then he clipped them? How did he ever go swimming, take a bath, or a shower? What did he do about his feet? Did he wrap them in something? Did he stick them up in the air? Oh, you, with your imagination, can take Jack and his black socks everywhere. So this evening, come up with some ideas about Jack and his black socks. They never get dirty. There is an author. Well, he really wasn't an author. He was a storyteller. His name was Aesop, A-E-S-O-P. Here's an Aesop book that you can find in the library. And his stories were so good because they were fables, which meant would teach you a lesson. Now, he had animals in all of his stories, and the animals acted just like people. Some were greedy, some were kind, some were unkind, some were selfish, some were always helping others. So this is a story from Aesop Fable, and this story is about a L-I-O-N. What does it spell?
Lion!
Lion, you're right. fun. Oh, there's the problem. I don't have a lion puppet, but I have a tiger puppet. So what will you use to change him into a lion? You will use your imagination. Hopefully, one of you at home said that word, imagination. This is a story about a roar lion. Can you roar? Let me hear some roars.
Roar!
Oh!
Roar!
Whoa, your librarians are just a little wild here. Lucky you. This is a story about a lion who was always hungry. This story is also about a little tiny gray, long-tailed, skittery-scattery, sniffing around mouse. Luckily, I do have a mouse. He's not real, by the way. Here's the tale from Aesop's Fables. Lion was thumping and bumping through the forest looking for something to eat, and he was growling. Help me out. Roar! He was very tired. He decided to take a nap. As he was napping, little mouse was skittering and scattering through the woods, looking for something to eat. Wasn't paying any attention, happened to run over the lion's whisker. That woke him up. He grabbed the little mouse by the tail, and he roared. Let me hear some roars. At home, roar really loud so that your cat and your dog are very afraid. I think I heard one. He roared, and that meant, I am very hungry and I will eat you up. Little mouse said, oh, please, please, please don't eat me. I'm very small. I'll only be a mouthful. I am very hungry and I will eat you now. And that's when the little mouse said, oh, Mr. Lion, you are big and you are brave and you are bold, and I'm just tiny, but someday I might be able to help you. How ridiculous. But he did. He let the little mouse go. After all, how can you eat a mouse if you don't have ketchup, mustard, pickle, onion, and a sesame seed bun? It's just impossible. So he let the little mouse run away. Now the very next day, as he was tramping and stomping through the forest, he happened to trip a trap. And when he tripped the trap, an enormous net that looked exactly like a basketball net, but it wasn't. It was a zookeeper's net. It fell upon him, and his teeth were so old. His teeth were worn down, and he could not chew through the net. So this is the sad part of the story. This is the dramatic part of the story. The lion began to weep. Can you weep like a lion would weep? What would it sound like? Does anybody out there know? Maybe we have you on Facebook. Does anybody saying anything on Facebook?
Not yet.
Not yet. But use your imagination. It might be kind of like this. They had no Kleenex. No. Guess who hurt him? Little mouse. Little mouse with very sharp teeth. Young teeth. And he gnawed and he chewed until finally he released the lion. And that's when the lion said, you are very little, but you are very valuable. Thank you for being my friend. And that's an Aesop fable. Now the moral of the tale is very simple. You are small. You are 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 or 4 or 8. And you can't drive a car, but you can put your shoes away. You can take the dishes from the table to the kitchen sink. You can hang up your coat. You can pick your toys up, especially your Legos, because I don't know if you've ever stepped on a Lego, but it really hurts. You can be a great helper. And in the last 2 months, oh, have we ever needed great helpers. So you're just like the mouse. And Aesop, this wonderful storyteller, he would be so very proud of you. Imagination, that's where stories come from. Stories also come from your heart and your memory. If you are smart, you will ask Grandma or Grandpa, did you have a favorite dog? Tell me about your dog. You might ask Grandma or Grandpa, tell me about your first car. You might ask Grandma and Grandpa, when I was 2 years old, I don't remember anything, but you remember stories about me. Will you tell me a story about when I was little? Those are the best stories, the stories about you. There's a good story about me. Here's my tale, and I'm taking it from my heart, and I'm taking it from my memory, and there's just a little bit of imagination in this tale. When I was 7, well, I wasn't 7. I was really only 6.5 because my birthday's in December. I kind of exaggerated there. I was 6.5 years old, and it was June. And that meant I got to go on errands with my mother. I couldn't do that during the school year, but during the summer, we got to travel in the pickup 30 minutes to town. We lived on a farm, and on that farm, we had almost every animal you can think of, and my dad grew almost every crop you can imagine. And once a week, Mom and I would get into the pickup to spend the entire day doing errands. Now, this was in the old days, and that meant my mother always wore fancy shoes and a beautiful skirt that she most likely made, a blouse, and a hat that she purchased from the local store. And that meant I got to wear my white patent leather shoes. Do you know what white patent leather shoes look like? They're beautiful. They glisten like a jewel, and when you look into them, you can actually see yourself. They're almost like a mirror. And I had on a pink blouse and a pink bow. I disliked the color pink, but my mother loved it, so I had to wear a pink blouse and a pink bow and the most magnificent skirt in the world. My mother had made it for me. It was white. It was full, and it kind of fluttered like a fairy's wings. And on that skirt, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pockets. And every single pocket was a different color. And the pockets were kind of loose at the bottom. So if you put something in this red pocket, it could roll through the purple pocket, through the pink pocket, which I didn't like, through the green pocket, all the way to the blue pocket. So you could put a penny in this pocket and roll the skirt, and the penny would roll all the way to the other side. It was the best skirt in the world, and I'm so sorry I grew out of it. There we were, off to town. And on the way to town, my mother gave me the rules and regulations. Rule 1, I could not say, I want that, I need that, please, would you buy this for me? No. And I always had to say, please, thank you, and excuse me. I had to be like a little young lady. So when my mother was talking to a friend, I could not pull on her skirt or tap her on the shoulder. I had to be quiet. I couldn't fidget around. All of this was pretty easy for me. I didn't bring a doll to play with, but I had a great toy. I didn't have a book, but I had a great toy with me. I didn't have anything that needed a battery or an electric hookup because we really didn't have toys like that back then. My toy was my loose tooth. My tooth was so loose that it was almost hanging by a string of skin. And I realized I could close my mouth and flip my tooth around in my mouth. I could make it go up and down inside my mouth. And when no one was watching me, I could flip my tooth out of my mouth and it would somersault right back in. It was the best toy ever. We had 7 or 8 stores we had to go to. My dad needed iron posts for a fence. He needed special baby pig food. My mother needed to trade eggs for some coffee at one of the stores. She had to buy a bolt of fabric. Thank goodness it wasn't pink. And finally, it was 3 o'clock, time to head home. And my mother said to me, "You've been so good all day. Instead of 1 scoop of ice cream, I think you deserve 2 scoops of ice cream." We went to the drugstore because in the front of the drugstore there was the ice cream parlor where you could get special drinks. And there were big barrels of ice cream. I feel kind of sorry for all of you because when you go into an ice cream shop, there are 25, 30, maybe 40 varieties of ice cream, and it's nearly impossible to choose. But in the old days, we had only 4 types of ice cream. We had vanilla. We had you at home, not you invisible children, but you at home. Can you come up with another one we might have had? Does anybody say anything? Does anybody know?
There is a bit of a delay.
There's a bit of a delay?
Between the lines.
Between them and me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. A delay of an hour. No. A delay of 5 seconds. Yes? Does anyone come up with another type of ice cream? Type it in. Shout it out. I have no idea how this goes. But I do know what some of you are thinking. My imagination says someone is thinking chocolate. You're right! And someone else is saying, cookies and cream. You're wrong. We didn't have cookies and cream in the old day. Maybe a mother is thinking, or maybe a grandmother is thinking, butter pecan. Oh yes, butter pecan. And the 4th one was reddish. It wasn't peppermint. There were big chunks of a red fruit in it. That 4th one was strawberry. I know you're all shouting strawberry and I can't hear you because you're invisible. It was strawberry. And since it was June, oh, the strawberries were the richest, best tasting ever. They were about this big, and the ice cream man had only cut them once, which meant there were giant slices of strawberries. 2 scoops. That's what I had to have. My mother had butter pecan and she had it in a bowl because that's what old people do. But I had mine on a cone and I started licking it. Now, I don't know how you lick your cone. I lick mine counterclockwise. Our daughter is left-handed. She always licks hers clockwise. Our son, well, he's old and grown up now, but when he was young, this is the way he used to eat his ice cream. Chomp, chomp, gone. Just like that.
Jonathan Honeywell says Callan wants chocolate.
Chocolate? Of course, the chocolate man. I know him. But no, I ordered strawberry, Callan, and I licked that strawberry cone until finally I made a little tower and I said, "This is the queen's throne." And then I stuck my tongue in the top of the ice cream. "Here sits the queen." And then I said this. "Off with her head, chomp." And I chomped off the top of the ice cream. And then I made another tower. "Here is the queen's throne. Here sits the queen. Off with her head." And another time. "Here is the queen's throne. Here sits the queen. Oh! Ew. There was something in the top of my ice cream and it was not a strawberry. It was pearly white. It had kind of some reddish junk hanging on it. It wasn't strawberry junk. It was my tooth. I lost my tooth in the top of my ice cream. I couldn't believe it. What was I going to do? No way was I going to throw that ice cream away. So I plucked my little pearly tooth out of the top of my ice cream, and I wiped it on my pink bow because you remember I don't like the color pink. And then I plopped it into one of my 6 pockets because that night the tooth fairy would come, and the tooth fairy would give me 5 cents for my tooth, and I would be rich. That's the end of the story. It's not a real dramatic story, is it? It's not a roll on the floor and laugh story. But to me, it's very important because it's my story. It's from my heart. It's from my memory. I can see my mom. I can see myself. I can see the little town. You have stories in your heart, in your memory. All you need to do is tell them. Ask Grandma, Grandpa. Ask Mom or Dad. Find out some of those stories. There is a book that goes along with this whole idea, and it's called Throw Your Tooth on the Roof. Every culture, every country has a different way of placing their tooth someplace. In France, you put it under your pillow, and at night when you're sleeping, a mouse comes, takes it away, and gives you some coins. Ugh. In Sweden, you take that tooth and you put it in a glass of water, and during the night, a fairy will fly down, drink the water, take the tooth, and replace it with a coin. In Cameroon, you take your tooth, you throw it over your hut, hopefully it's just a 1-story hut, and you hop around your hut on 1 foot. And that's the way you get a new tooth a little bit later. Throw Your Tooth on the Roof. Oh, what a good book. Thank you for listening to my story there. Now, some of you at home have gizmos. And you know these little gizmos. Maybe you folded it. It was very difficult. Some people made these when they were teenagers a long time ago. And what you do is you come up with a number. I'm going to say 3. 1, 2, 3. It says, in a land far away. And now I use my imagination and I add some words. In a land far away, where purple flowers grow, and dogs are always green. In a land far away, where purple flowers grow, and dogs are always green. Now, one of my helpers here, give me a number between 1 and 4. 2. 2. Okay. 1, 2. I'm going to lift up another one. In a land far away, there was a tiny boy. Where dogs are always green, there was a tiny boy, and his name was Ralph. And Ralph had so much fun. He loved walking through the creeks and playing in the trees. And give me another number.
7.
Between 1 and 4. That's okay.
1.
1. And I do this another time, and I pull up another one of these. Once there was a little boy named Ralph, and what does it say? Who built a roller coaster. Once there was a little boy in a faraway land. His name was Ralph, where, was it alligators are always purple and dogs are always green? Can't remember. Well, Ralph built a roller coaster. And the story could go on and on forever. And what I love about this is you can take it with you anywhere. You don't have to have a loose tooth. You can take this. You can make up stories. You don't need electronics. You don't need a battery. You just need this piece of paper. You can tell stories all day with this storytelling gizmo. Now I need to check my watch. Whoops, time's going fast. Oh, another story. The Indians, the Native Americans, they did not have scientists, they didn't have books, but they had storytellers. And the storytellers would make up stories about why an animal does what he does, or why an animal looks like. Why does the robin have a red breast? They'd have a story. Why does a chipmunk have lines down his back? There's a story. And this one is about a bear. Why does a black bear have a very short tail? Bear loved blueberries, and he enjoyed picking them. Now, one reason he enjoyed picking blueberries is because he'd be outside, and everyone would be watching him. And that meant they would see his big, long, fluffy tail. Yeah, bear, a long time. He had a tail that was so fluffy and so big, you could hang it over his head. And he was always bragging. Oh, Fox, look at your tail. It's fluffy and red, but it's not as good as mine. Oh, Rabbit, look at your tail. It's so short and stubby, not as good as mine. Well, Bear had just woke up from one of his naps in his den when he decided he'd go search for some food. It was very cold. It was winter. He knew there were no blueberries around, but he decided to go off into the world. He found a honey tree, and he dug out some of that old honey. Then he tumbled and rumbled around a big lake. He had to go around a giant rock, and finally he came to the end of the lake, and there was a hole in the lake, and there was Fox. Now, Fox had a stack of fish, and the fish made Bear's mouth drool. Hey, Fox, how'd you get all those fish? Let me tell you about Fox. He was tricky. He was sly. He liked to play tricks. Yes, indeed. And he was very jealous of that big fluffy tail. So he said to Bear, it's easy. I just stuck my tail down in this hole, caught the fish. I'm going home to cook them now. Why don't you try it, Bear? So Bear, he gathered up that giant long black tail of his, dropped it down into the icy cold hole, and he sat on the ice and shivering, and his teeth were like chattering, knocking together. And finally he thought, surely by now I have some fish, and he pulled on his tail. He couldn't get out of the hole because it was frozen in that lake. And finally he jerked on his tail, and no longer did he have a big fluffy tail. He had a very short, stubby tail. He ran home as quickly as he could. He hid behind a tree when he saw other animals coming, and then he hurried to his cave. And he spent the entire winter in his cave. And that is why today bears no longer have long, fluffy tails. And that is why today bears hibernate all winter long. Someone used their imagination, didn't they? You can make a story just like that. Why do cats purr? Come up with a story. Why do dogs snore when they're sleeping? Come up with a story. Why do dogs sometimes smell really rotten? Come up with a story. And you can use your imagination and be a storyteller exactly like that. Oh, this is a storyteller. I believe he lives in St. Louis. And his name is Len Cabral. He is so good. When he tells stories, it just kind of lights up the whole area. He uses big words. He uses usually a song in his tale. And this story I'm going to tell you is a Len Cabral story. And it's a fun story to tell. It's a story where you need your imagination. It's a story about coyote. Can you howl like a coyote? Try that at home. Try howling a little louder. I really can't hear you. A little bit louder. Oh, that's so much better. This is a story about Coyote. Now, Coyote, like Fox, was a trickster. Coyote, this is a story from New Mexico, Arizona area. So that's like the southwest part of America. And Coyote loved running through the desert and the cactus. And he loved bragging, telling all the other animals how much better he was. You're smart, I'm smarter. You're cute, I'm cuter. That was Coyote. Now this story happened so long ago that the stars which are really high above us. Look tonight, sky is crystal clear. Look up there and you'll find so many stars. But a long time ago, the stars were closer to the earth. And a long time ago, the animals could speak to each other. So the lizard could talk to Coyote, the rabbit could talk to Coyote, the crow could talk. They could all understand each other. And one night, when the sky was crystal clear, the stars were up there, up in the heavens, and all of the animals were standing on hills and on some mountains, and they were going, oh, ah, oh, ah, look at them dance. Because when the stars twinkle, they are dancing, and the stars were dancing all over the heavens. And there was Coyote, and you know what he said? Hey, stars, I'm a better dancer than you. And the animals laughed. No way. No way can you dance better than a star. Oh, yes, I can. I'm the best dancer in the world because I'm Coyote. When he howled, he called down a star. And the star said, what do you need, Coyote? Hey, I want to dance. I want to dance with you. I can dance all day and I can dance all night. Coyote, we dance constantly. We dance forever. You don't want to be up there dancing forever. Oh yeah, I can do it. I can do it. So the star took hold of Coyote's paws and lifted him up into the air, and Coyote danced. He did the jerk, he did the hullabaloo, he did the polka. And the stars said, oh, you are a good dancer. And all the animals down on the earth were clapping their paws. Coyote, you're a good dancer. And pretty soon Coyote said, I'm popped. I can't dance anymore. I'm tired. I need a rest. And the stars said, Coyote, you got to dance forever with us. No, no. And with that, he shook off the stars and he splat. The next night, there were the animals, there were the stars, there was another Coyote. Hey, I'm a better dancer than last night's Coyote. I can really dance. Come on down and take me. You have to dance forever. I can dance forever. Whoosh, up into the air. And he did dance. And everyone again were clapping and cheering him on. And he did the twist. And he did the waltz. And he was so good. And then I'm too popped. I can't dance anymore. Coyote, you gotta stay up here. You gotta dance with us. Nope. And he shook off the stars and he splat. Next night, same thing. Another Coyote, splat. Next night, same thing. Another Coyote, splat. Next night, same thing. You get the idea, splat. Well, boys and girls, this evening, if your mom or dad or grandma and grandpa should take you out to look at the stars, guess what? You might see a star, and it might be falling. And the adult will say, oh, look, there's a shooting star. There's a falling star. But you know, I know, you know, we know. It's just another Coyote. Because he can't dance that long. And that's a story from Len Correll, who's a wonderful teller about Coyote. Here's my last tale. Then I gotta go home. My last tale is about a little boy. Let's call him Billy. Let's say he's 8 years old. Let's say he's allowed to go on walks in the woods that's around their house. And it's in the woods that he finds treasures. Oh, Billy has a box of treasures. And in that box, he has a most unusual rock. And in that box, he has a little limb from a sycamore tree that's got lumpity and bumpities, and he has some scritchity scratchity sticks too, and he has feathers, a turkey feather, a crow feather, acorns that still have their caps on. He loves his treasure box. There he was, walking through the woods, happened to look down, and what does he find? A key, a beautiful filigree key. Not a big key, a small key. I know, you know, we know that when you find a key, there has to be a lock. And sure enough, he searched around, he had to dig in the dirt, and not only did he find a lock, but he found a treasure chest. And he fitted that key into the lock. Turned it upside down. Turned it back the other way. There's a lot of dirt. Kind of rusty. He tried and he tried. He dropped it once. And he tried and he tried and he tried. And finally, it fit in the lock. He was so excited. He turned the key and wonder what was in the treasure chest. Do you have an imagination? Can you figure out what might have been in that treasure chest? Does your imagination say it was a brand new car for Dad? You know what? Sometimes dads just want a car that's not broken down every month. Tonight, when you're sitting around the kitchen table, ask your family, if you found a treasure chest, what would you like to find in it? Your mother might say, a good night's sleep and someone to empty the dishwasher every day. Your dad might say, a car that never breaks down. If you have a 10-year-old brother, he might say, 1,728 Legos. So ask your family, if you had a treasure box, what would be in it? Tell them to use their imaginations. That's what I've been doing today. I've been using my imagination. Imagination, imagination. You have ideas in your head. Take those ideas, create and tell a story with your imagination. Thank you for being good listeners. Don't forget to take your pajamas off and put on your play clothes for the rest of the day. And you know what I'd really like? Tell somebody about this, about the Walcott Library. Tell them about some books and say, hey, why don't you go listen to some stories? And then you can tell them some of the stories you've heard today. So thank you again for being good listeners. I think we have our visitor one last time with a great t-shirt.
Hi, thank you so much, Doyne. We appreciate you so much, and we hope everyone uses their imagination, and there is still time to sign up for summer reading if you haven't done so yet. Stay tuned for some more virtual programs this summer, and everyone take care. Thank you.